So continuing right on along to part two, because that cut me short at 15-minute mark. I think atheism is a mental disease, not the belief in God, not believing in God, but this thing that we've been calling atheism. That people have this reaction of hostility towards culture, tradition, art, uh, and society. This just backlash against it. So as much as the atheists say, "Well, God is a mental illness," the mental illness they're talking about is not the belief in an afterlife or something like that. It's the superstition or believing in something higher than yourself. That's uh, that's in all of us. Now, if you want to talk about near-death experiences and stuff like that, well, those are specific things, and how that's an illness, I don't know. It's just another way for shock value. They're not trying to get their point across. They're not trying to get people to not believe in God. They're just trying to piss people off, basically. Which Dawkins, again, how could such a smart guy not know that's what you do? Uh, you When you're trying to convey an idea, you don't try to piss the people off that you're trying to convince. Then again, I don't think he was trying to convince really anybody, and if he was, he did it in a very stupid way. And politicians, they're kind of politicians aren't about telling the truth. They're about smiling faces and people who are going to represent their constituency. And when you've seen how hostile the very vocal atheists are, because there's never been one come on the scene where they've actually tried to talk it out, there are beginning to be some. Uh, Again, Trey Parker and Matt Stone call Sam Harris a whiny bitch, but from what I've seen of Sam Harris, I think he looks pretty level-headed, and that's probably the best way to go. Again, Hitchens, I don't think does. He's got balls. He's not a whiny little bitch like Dawkins. Um, but yeah, this foaming at the mouth, ridiculous Madeline Mary O'Hare atheism, and that's what it was like. I mean, if you go back to even the 1880s, 1860s, from about that point on until recently, you've had the atheists um, that have the heresy on him. Would you celebrate Christmas, Easter? Oh, that we got to cross this off everything. I mean, the people who, when somebody dies in a motorcycle accident, what do? They stick a white cross by the side of the road. What a fucker to try to take that out. Well, I'm an atheist. That's on public road. You motherfucker. These people in the town knew that person. They put across their. I mean, relate. I believe in the division between state and religion. I think the state corrupts religion, and religion corrupts the state. We should totally have secularism. Uh, Small towns, I think, are allowed to govern themselves. I don't think there should be a huge, massive. Well, a small town wants to put a cross right there, and people just bitching and moaning and whatever. Queen of Heaven Cemetery has a water tower in it that's used for public water supply. It's where the water tower is. It had a cross painted on it because it's in the middle of a Catholic cemetery. You got to take that down, the atheists. This was back in '94. Yeah. They're not doing anything. They're not achieving anything for any goal. They're coming from an area that's not really well thought out, and they're using uh, lack of a belief in God to excuse all of it. Just as I think it unexcusable for people to use religion for hatred, like the Westboro Baptist Church. I don't. They're grinning from ear to ear and rubbing their hands behind closed doors because of all the publicity they get. I don't think they believe in God one bit. For all those people that use religion for hatred and malice, I put these jackasses in the same category. Well, nobody's ever killed anybody over atheism. Really? So, I mean, what if people who are religious can't make that argument? You never allow them to say, oh well, the Spanish Inquisition was a political thing, which it absolutely was. We're getting rid of the people who are going to attack the Spanish crown. Those people who worked against us, the Muslims and the Jews. But when it comes to Stalin slaughtering the Catholic priests, oh, but that was a political thing. Or Stalin burning down Catholic orphanages with people inside, children inside, or the mass starvation. And the reason he said we need this famine because it will break the people's belief in God. A famine that killed more people than there were Jews killed in the Holocaust. Jews, Poles, and Gypsies, I think, all put together. Uh, the amount of them that died was the amount of people who died in the Ukrainian famine was greater than those who died in the death camps of the Nazis. But yet we're supposed to not think, oh, that's not atheist. That's just, I mean, that's communism. That can't be atheist. I mean, why wouldn't you ever ascribe that to what happened with the Catholic Wars with the Protestants, or the Catholic Wars against the Muslims, as it being a political identity and not? I mean, talk about having it both ways. Uh, this is where I get angry at another group of people who claim to be an ethnicity when they want to, a race when they want to, and a religion when they want to, and can switch them all on and off whenever they want, so they can just shift. Uh, it's ridiculous. And one thing that is ridiculous about this video is I do realize how I put the final atheist video, I think I called it, or the last ever atheist video I'm going to make, and then I have part 1 and part 2. That's only because it keeps saying I can go up to 15 or past 15 minutes, but I never take the time to figure it out because rarely have any of my videos ever gone past 15 minutes. But it's not about any of your arguments against God, atheists. And again, there's too many people on YouTube who don't believe in God that I get along with, and I actually like their videos about how God doesn't exist. That are fine. It's the people who just are bitchy whiners like Dawkins. Now, if you have balls and you're going to present, this and that like Hitchens, go for it. Good. I like a good debate. Um, but what is it? Personal attacks, slander, and threats. If I ever see you, I'm going to kick your fucking ass. Blah blah. Jesus not going to protect you. This and that. Assuming that whatever. Uh, just slander of, oh, you're mentally ill, blah blah blah, which shows the weakness of their. They can't argue anything, so they're gonna just do that. What did I mean? There's so many things that they try to pull, or whining. Oh, blah blah blah. This is the reason. It's not for any lack of a belief in God. It's not about any of the arguments that there is no God. It's just being a whiny bitch going around and telling children there is no Santa Claus, kind of thing. Most people already have enough doubt, and that's not going to. If you start pressing that, they're going to retreat into fanaticism. Uh, Fanatics. Maybe those are the people we need to get rid of. Are you really worried about the Episcopal Church down the street? I mean, they don't believe in the virgin birth. They don't believe in the resurrection. I mean, it's a club. It's just a mediocre white people go to have little moral stories that they kind of don't really follow anyways, and that's it. No, it's abusive. It's for somebody to have a cross on their private property that offends me personally. The people who say crap like that, or people who think that if they see anybody wearing any type of religious symbol, they have the right to go up to them and start badgering them or heckling them, or people say, well, if I see somebody, who's religious, I know I can't be friends with them. I've heard people say this. Those people were, no, they weren't even in the Communist Party. I'm trying to think. I was working with the Whole Foods or something like that. Uh, these again, atheism and fundamentalist Protestantism are the same things. The creationists and the atheists, not the lack of a belief in God. mind you. I know I'm going to get this again. These people are the same. The Madeline Murray O'Hares and the creationists. Oh, radiocarbon dating. This is the funniest thing. I'd ask people. I wound up doing this, asking about the Shroud of Turin, and then no matter what they'd say, I said, "Well, what about the radiocarbon dating? If they believed in God or if they didn't?" The atheists, the people who were, oh well, radio, that's useless. It doesn't matter. And the same, you get the same response from the fanatical Christians too. Now, I didn't tell them what the radiocarbon dating proved or anything. I just asked them, and that was the response. It's kind of funny. There's also another thing. The one with the shells of these snails on the bottom of riverbeds. That when they radiocarbon date them, they turn out to be like millions of years old, and it's because of the stuff they're eating. Uh, and the creationists cling to that, and I mean, it's just people twisting shit. That last part wasn't even needed. I don't care about that. But again, this is the last one I'm ever going to make because I don't ever argue against the beliefs that these atheists have. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's the bitchy. It's the being just a whiny pussy. Just I mean, just trying to shit on people's parade. And there are people who protest churches and shit like that. Not like protest the Pope coming because they think he's endorsing pedophilia, but actually just going out and trying to piss off somebody on their day off. If you want to protest somewhere, do Scientology, okay? Because they actually have slave labor camps in America. Uh, you know what? Go protest the creationists. You can all be in one spot together. Alright, peace to everybody. That's basically what this video was. Can't we just all get along? No, absolutely not, is the answer, apparently.